as far as the business of boxing.
The best thing is the fighter needs to take almost everything.
You paid all that money and had the biggest stage in boxing on Netflix, and that is really the best they could do?
He knew that he could not beat Bud Crawford, which is why they basically paid him $100 million.
Canelo admitted that he went easy on Crawford after his defeat, speaking on Joe Rogan's podcast about how the fight unfolded. He explained he didn't give everything inside the ring and held back. Canelo said he fought at half speed, remained flat-footed, and allowed Crawford to look better than he really was. He also mentioned that money and business shaped how the fight went, confessing he was paid to take it easy and not fight with his usual level of intensity.
Well, how does that work? Because it's not pay-per-view, so they still...
Netflix put up money.
So I'm saying, so they don't get no back end then?
No, there is no back end. There's ticket sales.
Yeah, because you know pay-per-view, the back end is the most.
There's no pay-per-view.
I guess if you give me $50 million up front, I don't really care about the back end.
This statement confirmed what many inside boxing were already saying in the days following the bout. Both professionals and fans quickly noticed that Canelo's performance seemed unusual. He rarely used his jab, one of the most valuable weapons in his career. He didn't create combinations or pressure Crawford with his normal rhythm. Instead, he threw single punches, often stayed still, and lacked urgency even as rounds slipped away. Punch stats showed the same, ranking among the lowest totals of his career. At first, many thought age had caught him, but his confession changed the narrative.
He don't have the punching power, but he has the skills that's necessary.
Crawford.
Yeah.
So you were very impressed with his performance?
Well, yeah. The point of the matter is, I knew if it came down to if somebody got knocked out, I thought Crawford would probably get knocked out.
Yeah.
But I know about.
Oscar De La Hoya was among the first to raise suspicions. Just hours after the fight, he posted online, "What was that? I know Canelo was slow, but not that slow. And I know Canelo was weak, but not that weak. Did Canelo train or was he paid to lose?" For De La Hoya, who promoted him for years, that version of Canelo was unrecognizable. He insisted this was not how Canelo fights. Having watched him in past training camps where sharpness and volume were obvious, De La Hoya felt this showing was the total opposite. He refused to accept it was simply age.
When he got hit by Crawford and he took that deep breath, he's frustrated. Don't get me wrong, Canelo facing the right opponent that's gonna stay in front of him, that's gonna fight, that's gonna make it a brawl, Canelo knocks him out. So I'm not saying Canelo's shot or done. No, it's far from.
Veteran fighter Gabe Rosado also gave his view. He said Canelo fought flat-footed, without a jab, no combinations, and throwing one punch at a time. For Rosado, this resembled the effort of someone far past their peak, not a champion still carrying belts. His words lined up with what Canelo later revealed. Against Golovkin and other top names, Canelo doubled the jab, countered with sharp flurries, and pressured constantly. Facing Crawford, Rosado noted, all that was absent.
Watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem...
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo. Ever.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it, he goes, I couldn't figure him out.
No.
Which is...
Claressa Shields also argued that Canelo's body was failing him. She said he couldn't move, couldn't throw combinations, and his legs were gone. She saw it as the natural conclusion of a long career. At the time, the explanation seemed reasonable. David Benavidez, one of Canelo's most vocal critics, has long claimed Alvarez avoids real threats. Before the Crawford fight, he insisted Canelo selected opponents where he held advantages, ignoring fights that posed true danger. Afterward, Benavidez repeated that Canelo was no longer interested in risk.
Any advice for them as far as boxing business?
Because, you know, the fighters always get the less money, and some of the fighters they need to take the money, the guarantee money, right? Because they don't make a lot of money in the fights, right? But they are as a fighter.
According to Benavidez and others, Canelo was simply chasing the big payday, and while many are surprised, Benavidez says this is nothing new. In fact, he predicts Canelo will keep doing the same. Oscar de la Hoya told Fight Hype the result reflected style more than decline. He rejected the idea Alvarez is finished but admitted his future relies on smart matchmaking. Don't get me wrong, Canelo against the right opponent who comes forward, makes it a fight, he knocks him out. I'm not saying he's done. Far from it. It's all about matchmaking, who you put in front of him, and squeezing the last dollars from the fans.
You see, Canelo is a strong fighter, and every punch he throws comes with power, right? That breaks down the body. Physically, his body is breaking down. Plus, he just had a kid. Canelo wants to go enjoy his life. He wants to keep his wits, keep his mind together, stay sharp, and go enjoy a little bit of that money that he just made. But he could not pass the torch to somebody that didn't respect the game. Canelo's at the top of the list. But Terence...
De La Hoya added there is belief that Canelo can still succeed at the top but only against styles that benefit him. Eddie Hearn disagreed. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, he stressed the sporting and financial weight of a rematch with Crawford. For him, the appeal is whether Canelo can silence retirement rumors. Fans want to know if Alvarez makes adjustments or if Crawford pushes him closer to the exit. Hearn added, Canelo could shock everyone with changes in his approach, pointing out his past ability to reinvent himself. He argued Alvarez could rebuild a fresh skill set to truly trouble Crawford.
You've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In their first fight, Canelo looked strong early. He controlled the first rounds, landing clean counters and keeping Crawford cautious, but momentum shifted later. From rounds 9 through 12, Crawford took control, landing more effective punches and forcing Alvarez back. Most observers felt that swing decided the outcome. Hearn believes with a better late-round strategy, the result in a rematch could look completely different.
We already know, we knew Crawford is a great fighter, and I did what I supposed to do, right? I tried for every way, and I trained really hard, and he deserved all the credit. No,
Chris Eubank Jr. echoed that optimism, calling a rematch massive and insisting Canelo still has the tools to change the result. To him, Alvarez's power and experience remain unmatched when used correctly. His confidence highlighted a belief shared by many fighters. Canelo still carries dangerous weapons but must prove the willingness to adjust. Trainer Robert Garcia also supported a rematch, stressing hunger as the deciding factor. If Canelo returns with real hunger, Garcia believes he could defeat Crawford. He told Fight Hype Alvarez must avoid the tactical errors of the first fight, applying pressure from start to finish instead of slowing late. Garcia's words reflected boxing's wider theme: Canelo still has skills, but his next chapter depends on whether he uses them at full intensity.
I would love to see the rematch. I think in the rematch, if he comes back with the hunger that he needs, he could beat Crawford. Because Crawford, is very talented, but I think Canelo could beat him. Canelo's strong, man. Canelo's strong. Canelo could take a good punch. So I think he could just go and don't respect his punch and throw punches even though you're gonna get hit, but don't.
For Crawford, the victory over Alvarez, whether genuine or not, has created new opportunities. Still, debate remains about who he faces next. Some analysts predict he will avoid the most dangerous opponents. Names like David Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, Diego Pacheco, and Bektemir Melikuziev carry major physical advantages that could offset Crawford's slick style. Facing them would mean high risk with uncertain reward. Instead, many expect Crawford to choose big-name fights with safer odds and large paydays, such as Jermall Charlo or Hamza Shiraz.
Potential rematch, as a Canelo fan, I don't really want to see that. I don't think there will be much difference. I don't think Canelo can bring anything to the table that's going to surprise Crawford. He's a different fighter now. If this was 10 years ago, yes, I think the fight could have gone a different way. But there's no point in even thinking that because Canelo's a different fighter now. They fought today. They fought when Crawford is older as well, so I can't be trying to say, well, Canelo's not in his prime.
The business side of boxing is clear here. Crawford's win has placed him in a position where he can command massive purses, but the opponents he chooses will decide how long he holds that leverage. On the other side, Canelo's next move will also shape the division. If he immediately seeks redemption against Crawford, the fight could draw huge global attention. If instead he chooses a safer route, aiming at a more suitable style, it may indicate his career has entered its closing stage.
Between Terence Crawford and Canelo, personally, I do not want to see a rematch. Usually rematches are in order when it's a very close fight and you can't really tell, which fighter won. There's a lot of close rounds, swing rounds. But that wasn't the case in this fight. Terence Crawford won pretty handily. I personally scored the fight 9-3. Being generous, you can give it 8-4.
Although Canelo is now criticized for chasing money, many believe not even money can rescue him from the situation he created by taking the big payday with Crawford. The reality is, boxing today is completely driven by money fights. Whether a fighter is past prime or showing decline doesn't matter. If numbers are strong, the fight happens. That's exactly what occurred here. Canelo was already fading, but the Crawford bout was too lucrative to refuse. The problem is, while the paychecks keep rolling in, the toll on the body doesn't stop. For Canelo, this may have been the payday that finally cost him.
Saw that.
I
the
put
Coca-Cola I'm buying.
Man, I risk my life in the ring, and everybody's making money too. It's not that they don't making money; they making money, but the fighter need to make more than everybody.
Coach Ronnie Shields wasted no time after the defeat, saying he believes Canelo should retire. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, he said what he witnessed against Crawford told him everything. Canelo is done. He saw no energy, no sharpness, and none of the old version who could march opponents down and dictate the pace. For Shields, this isn't about switching trainers or changing strategies. It's simply time. No coach alive can save Canelo anymore, he said. Fire Eddie Reynoso, hire anyone else, it won't change things. His body isn't responding now, and once that happens, no training can reverse it.
Got a name to have just one name at 160, 154. I mean, it's just hard for him, ideally, to just see a fight. No names designated at the moment. Would you be okay to see him retire?
I would. Look, he's had a great career also. Yes, he's older, but...
However, Oscar de la Hoya added his own perspective. As a promoter, he believes there is still a way to revive things. He argued Canelo might prolong his career by leaving Reynoso and working with a different trainer, maybe even someone like Shields. But Shields dismissed that idea quickly, insisting the issue runs deeper. Canelo has competed at the highest level since his teens, enduring years of wars, intense camps, and physical wear. Crawford, by contrast, has fewer fights, less punishment, and fresher legs. Shields explained that Canelo's body is already warning him to quit, and the longer he ignores it, the worse the decline will be.
Yeah, look, I mean, the only thing I can tell him or give him advice in is get a new trainer. I can't advise him on retiring or staying in boxing. That's a very personal decision. But I can say, hey, get a new trainer. You'll do better.
And the signs are difficult to deny. Since his loss to Dimitri Bivol in May 2022, Canelo hasn't looked the same. Yes, he's still winning, but the dominance has been absent. He hasn't scored stoppages, has appeared fatigued late, and has only faced opponents he could beat despite slowing down. Crawford was different. Canelo couldn't use size to bully him. When the bout entered the later rounds, his stamina betrayed him. Shields' point stands, sooner or later, the body reveals the truth.
Now, if we see a fight where Canelo Alvarez looks old, and guess what? He's old. Right? And it might be a case of him being less than he was. And it'll
Interestingly, Shields also shared advice about Crawford that surprised many. He said even Bud should consider retiring soon, maybe after just one more fight. At 38, though still sharp, it may be wiser to leave before the decline shows. Shields suggested Crawford drop down to 160, win a belt there, and then retire. His reasoning was that staying at 168 is risky since contenders are younger, stronger, and hungrier. He warned that if Crawford faced someone like Christian Billy, a relentless puncher, it would spell danger. Crawford managed against Canelo because Canelo slowed down and gave him space. Against a younger relentless fighter, that would not happen.
floating around as a potential opponent for Canelo, but the big question has been, is Christian ready for that opportunity? Is he ready for the moment? Do you feel after this Saturday that you are ready for a fight with whoever wins the fight against Crawford and Canelo?
I'm born ready. Yeah, I'm born ready. Yeah. I'm born ready for this fight.
But retirement rarely matches reality, especially with money involved. Crawford is now undisputed champion at 168 and one of boxing's biggest stars. That's why Turki Alshik quickly hinted at David Benavidez, asking if he could still make the weight. It was an obvious signal he wants Crawford versus Benavidez. That's the kind of matchup that sparks conversation and, more importantly, generates tens of millions in revenue.
You want to fight Canelo? Would you ever entertain a fight with the Mexican monster, David Benavidez? But you want Canelo. But you want Canelo.
You gotta understand, like.
But I gotta ask you, bro, because I can't, you know.
My thing is, Benavidez is a big dude. You know what I mean? Not to say I won't fight him. I fought his brother.
Crawford himself has admitted he's weighing options. Speaking to Ring Magazine on X, he said he will sit with his team to decide whether to drop to middleweight or remain at super middle. The issue with middleweight is money. The champions there, Janibek Alan-Canyoli, Arislan De Lara, Carlos Adams, are solid fighters, but none are stars. None can headline pay-per-view, excite Western fans, or motivate Turkey to offer massive checks. Shields is correct that Crawford could grab a belt there, but financially it makes little sense.
Canelo? Turkey dropped. People are talking about it. Turkey hinted at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey,
did.
So.
Turkey just posted that this morning, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford.
No.
Maybe playing them.
That's why Benavidez is seen as the golden ticket. The big question is whether he can still safely make 168, but if he can, the fight would be enormous. Benavidez is young, unbeaten, and eager for a defining chance against an elite name. Crawford, though older, has the skills to make it competitive, even with the size disadvantage. Online reactions came instantly. Some fans predicted Bud would outbox Benavidez with ease. Others insisted Benavidez's size and pressure would overwhelm him. Either way, everyone agreed it's a fight that must happen.
They both need this fight. It's a storyline there. You beat my brother. I need that revenge. I'm the Mexican monster. You a pound for pound great. You coming up. Let's do it. If Terence Crawford beats David Benavidez, I don't even think he needs to fight Canelo. You automatically have to put Terence Crawford in top 5 or top 10 all time.
Other names remain in play too. Dimitri Bivol and Artur Beterbiev at 175 are possibilities. If Crawford took that route and won, it would be historic. Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz are still active, but they remain at welterweight and no longer excite now that Crawford has cleared that division. Sebastian Fundora is another name, though more of a wild card. The reality is simple: the only fights that make sense for Crawford now are the ones that sell huge. His legacy is already established. What remains is the money.
See Bivol, Bud next, since Bud's so strong. That's what I said. Why you talking about 54? None of them dudes gonna get you up. If you truly beat Canelo, why not be the greatest fighter in the existence of boxing? Like, Bivol was the only dude to beat 2 undisputed active champions. Like, he beat Canelo as an undisputed champion, and he beat Beterbiev as an undisputed.
And that sums up where boxing stands today. The sport is no longer built on mandatories or rankings, it revolves around which fights create the biggest global buzz. Turki Alshik has rewritten the game with his deep pockets, and fighters like Crawford are ideally positioned to benefit. That's why even with voices like Ronnie Shields calling for retirement, it's difficult to picture Crawford stepping away right now. The paydays are too big, the spotlight too bright, and the chance to keep making history too tempting.
Bomac, you've been training Crawford for years. Is he retired or is he going to keep fighting?
He just got to take a break.
Is Terence Crawford retired or is he going to keep fighting?
Oh, he's going to keep fighting.
He's going to keep fighting?
Yeah.
You're the man. Be man. Hey, congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fans online are already creating fantasy paths. Some suggest he claim a middleweight belt, then jump to light heavyweight for Bivol or Beterbiev. If successful, he'd become only the second fighter ever to win titles in 7 divisions, putting him in rare company that even Mayweather never reached and strengthening his case as the greatest of all time. Others argue, forget 160, forget 175, just fight Benavidez next and give fans the clash they've been waiting for. Either way, the driving force is money. Canelo's defeat to Crawford proved fighters will still gamble everything if the purse is right.